It's a big day for Illinois schools as the annual state report card releases where educators are most successful and the areas that need much improvement.
WIFR reporter Sydney Stoffregan talks with a local superintendent who says despite positive growth, their work in the classroom is not over.
There is a ton of work to do.
Enhancing education for the entire state, the Illinois State Board of Education releases its annual report card breaking down how area schools are doing. Administrators with Rockford Public Schools praise their results and what they call major strides in academics. But Superintendent Aaron Jarrett says one area remains a tough battle, chronic absenteeism. While District 205's rate is dropping, Jarrett says not fast enough.
We as a community need to come together to support families. And this is the most important job of a family, is to love their child and to create an environment where going to school is a non-negotiable.
The report card highlights significant improvements in literacy among 3rd to 8th graders while acknowledging a lag in post-pandemic math skills. But Lori Leathers, the principal of STEAM Academy at Haskell, says her school's math scores doubled this year.
We do our very best to make sure we provide our students with not only their grade level instruction, but also their at-level instruction, looking at the data, looking at their needs, looking at their strengths.
Jarrett attributes an increase in graduation rates to the personal support system each student receives at RPS and to the college and career readiness programs that lead students down a path to the future.
There's a personalization that is really working, coupled with real career readiness experiences. I think it really helps to get folks excited about graduating from high school if they can see a future and a career beyond high school.
In Rockford, Sydney Stoffregan, WIFR News.
Despite a statewide teacher shortage, the report finds that there are more teachers than ever. Jarrett says the relationships built between teachers and their students is what keeps them from leaving.
And here are some other results from state line school districts. Belvedere School District 100 saw a 6% increase in its literacy rate, and the graduation rate at Hononegah of 93% is actually 5% higher than the state average.
However, Freeport School District 145 saw 75% of freshmen on track to graduate, which is 13% lower than the state average. You can find a full report on all schools on WIFR.com.